Hello again, everyone. This is the Wheatgrass Trucker here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make homemade sauerkraut and a few things we're going to need to start. I'm just going to need a knife to cut up the sauerkraut, a shredder or a food processor to shred it up. We're going to need a teaspoon for the salt, and also we're going to need a potato masher. This one right here, I like to get the metal ones because I smashed it a little bit so it could actually fit down in the mason jar, so I could compress the sauerkraut into there. And let's see, as far as the ingredients, we're going to need some cabbage, and I like to use this Redmond's Ancient Sea Salt instead of regular salt because of all the mineral content. You can pick this up on Amazon.com. Okay, also, since we want to weigh our cabbage, I'm gonna be using a scale here. So, for the sake of this video, I already shredded up my cabbage and put it all in this bowl right here. Already mixed all the salt in. Okay. See if I can get all this in here. Let's see, this is 3.5 pounds, which fits in this half-gallon mason jar. If you're just doing quart mason jars, it's about 1.5 pounds. So what we're going to use is, I'll tell you the recipe here. Once you shred up your cabbage, it's 1 teaspoon. So that's 1 small teaspoon for every pound of cabbage that you're going to use. That's all it takes. It's just the cabbage and the salt. So, and there are a few factors to making homemade sauerkraut, which are salt to cabbage ratio, which we talked about, only 1 teaspoon per pound of cabbage. The compression, which when we put it in here, we're going to take the potato masher and we're gonna compress it in here. You're going to keep the air away, so we're going to seal it up after we're done. And the final factor is proper temperature, which I actually put mine in the fridge because truck regulates, it goes up and down in temperature so much. You want to have it under 70 degrees. So if you put it in your basement or a cellar or something like that, that would be good. In my fridge, it only takes like 3 weeks to make. Then it's done, but in 6 weeks it's twice as good. So it'll last up to a year after it's done. I would say 3 to 6 weeks, and then put it in your fridge. And of course mine don't last too long, but let's see, I took vinegar, and I like to use that to semi-sterilize my jars so there's nothing in it. When you do that, the actual distilled white vinegar, it kills like 99% of bacteria, 82% of mold, and 80% of germs. So also I like to use my hands, so I'm going to take just the kraut here that I already have made up and put it in here. Worry about cleanup later. So I'm going to move this down here so you can get a better view. As you can see, I'm just taking the potato masher right here and I'm just compressing it in, just like that. Make sure it's nice and compressed. Okay. Let's see if I can. There's not a lot of room in here. That's the only thing about being in a small little truck. You definitely have a lot more room in your kitchen to do this, but just compress it down here, just like that. Just keep doing it. Try not to make too much of a mess here. As I said, I like to use a food processor because I like little pieces of kraut. You can just use a regular shredder. It'll give you longer, bigger pieces if you use bigger pieces of cabbage. Okay. So press that down. Yeah, it's a really important factor here is getting it nice and tight in this mason jar here. So also, you only want to do like 80% of the jar. You don't want to fill it all the way to the top. You need a little bit of an airspace, at least a couple inches, so it has a little bit of room to expand. I filled it up all the way before, and it actually creased the lid. I was afraid it was going to blow up, so I let some of the gas out. Just keep compressing that in here, and you don't need to add any liquid or anything. It's going to have its own natural water from the salt, just bringing that out. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to believe that's 3.5 pounds almost, but get that in there. That's why I like to wear this glove, as you can see. Keep everything sanitary, and also it's easier to put in big amounts with your hand. I got a wet dry vac, suck up all the cabbage later on, then I suck up some water and get it out, and I clean the wet dry vac really good. That's how, because it does make a little bit of mess being here in the truck. Okay, that's it for the kraut. As you can see, it's packed in there good, and it is a little ways away from there, but as I said, that's good. That's you want that. So let me grab paper towels here, get that kraut off the threads here. Okay, there's my lid. Put that on just like that, and just like everything, I want to date it, and it just happens to be Christmas Eve. So let's say 12/24/2010. This is kraut. So there you go. I'm going to put that in my fridge, as I said, for like 3 weeks, and it's done. I start eating it after 3 weeks. Fortunately, I make 2 of these, so by the time I'm done with this one, the other one is a couple weeks past that, and it's so delicious. Packed with vitamins, minerals, enzymes, probiotics, because it's lactic acid fermented. Really good stuff. One of my favorite sandwiches is I take rye and I grill it, and I put on kraut, I put on sprouts, and then I just put on a little bit of mustard. That is an awesome sandwich. So there you have it, homemade sauerkraut. I tried to make this video, these videos as short as possible, keep your interest. But this is the Wheatgrass Trucker saying, stay healthy, stay happy. Thank you for watching. You have a great day.